Perfect. Hello, guys. Breaking news we have going on in the trucking industry. For those of you that are here, hello and welcome. I just need to go live on one more platform and let's get started. So we got some breaking news in our industry that I need to share with you guys. So first of all, Sean Duffy has announced yesterday that we are in a national emergency, state of emergency, and it affects everybody in the trucking industry here in North America. This is all in regards to non-domicile CDL holders, and I'm going to explain everything in this video right now, okay, in this live stream. So what has happened? So what is a non-domicile CDL holder? Okay, so in a nutshell, it's a commercial driver's license that has been given to people who don't actually live in the U.S. as permanent residents. Okay, so this is now a huge deal right now going on in the U.S. It's issued to foreign nationals who are in the country on certain immigration statuses. So what kind of immigration status? Like a temporary visa or an asylum seeker. All right, and I'm going to give you a couple of examples on what that means. Okay, so what is a temporary visa? So it could be a worker that is either from Mexico or from Canada, decides to work in the US with a status of a work visa, and then he has a non-domicile CDL, and he can haul freight from the US to the US. So what's happening right now, the second example of this is an asylum seeker, somebody who crossed the border illegally or legal into the U.S., and their case is being processed. So I don't know about you guys, but a case can be processed. It could take years until a case is processed. Now, the driver or the person who has an asylum case can apply for a CDL license. So this is really where the ruckus is coming all over the U.S., and this is what they're calling a national emergency. All right. So effective immediately. So in in this national emergency, the Sean Duffy, when he addressed the nation, he said basically there are two things that are going to immediately happen as of right now. Number one, non-citizens will no longer qualify for CDL unless they meet a much stricter set of rules. That means only drivers with specific approved employment visas can apply. Asylum seekers, undocumented migrants, and anyone without verifiable legal status will no longer be eligible. Okay, so that's number one, the change that's going to happen immediate. Now, the second thing that's going to happen immediately is every state has been ordered to pause, pause the issuance of the non-domicile CDLs until they update their systems to comply with the new rules. That includes using the federal SAFE program to verify immigration statuses and make sure licenses expire when visas expire. Basically, in short, a lot of the existing non-domicile CDLs are going to get revoked, okay? And states can't issue new ones until they prove they're following the new federal standards. So again, a lot of changes happening right now in the U.S. Now, the DOT and inside in this, they referred to this as a national emergency. Now, Sean Duffy gave 3 examples in his presentation. Why is this all happening? So in his presentation, he gave 3 recent accidents that involved the non-domicile CDL holder in a fatality, in a trucking accident that involved fatalities. Okay, I will take questions and comments a little bit later. Okay, I think that a lot of people, want to voice their opinion about this, and I'd love to, have an open, discussion with all of you guys. But first, let's just get the facts out there of what happened. Okay, so basically, Sean Duffy goes on stage, talks about 3 different accidents that happened in the U.S. All of them had the CDL non-domicile drivers, basically as drivers with the status, they're not residents of the U.S., but they hold commercial driver's license, and they got into an accident with a commercial motor vehicle. And with this vehicle, fatalities happened. Okay, so this is why it's happening right now, or this is why they're bringing up this national emergency. Now, the Why now? Why is all this happening right now? I just wanted to give you a little bit of background. So the reason why this is all happening right now is because tens of thousands of people came into the United States that were not properly vetted. So the government says too many unverified drivers were getting access to the CDLs. Okay, so the commercial driver's license. This crackdown is their way of tightening control. So as people came into the U.S. However they got there, they claimed their asylum or work permit, or however they got into the U.S. They basically are able to, while they're waiting for their, for their court hearing or for their approval or the denial, they're able to get their CDL licenses. And while they have their CDL licenses, they can work. Okay, so that's why they refer to them as non-domicile. Now, I really love to hear some of your opinion out there. What do you guys think of this latest national emergency? Is this a step towards safer highways? Do you believe that the highways will be safer by them cracking down? So I just did quick research here. ChatGPT gave me some information. There are currently between 60,000 and up to 200,000 truck drivers in the U.S. that currently have their non-domicile, meaning that they do not have status in the U.S. or residency in the U.S. So I really want to hear some of your opinion out there. Between 60,000 to 200,000 may not get, may get, I don't know about them getting revoked their license, but definitely they might not reissue them once they're expired. They might not renew them. We definitely need some more clarification on what's going to happen or what these new rules are. But basically, effective immediately, they want to see, non-citizens will no longer qualify for a CDL, and they want to make sure that nobody is giving out any more CDLs to non-domicile truck drivers until they follow new rules. And what are these new rules? Nobody knows yet. They're going to let them out, shortly. So I'd like to hear some of your comments out there, your concerns. I mean, what do you guys think about these new rules? I'm just going to read a few here. I got a CDL with 8 points in the U.S. with U.S. passport. Can I work in Canada? Okay. Currently making $10K a month as a logistics broker. Okay. So guys, this is only about the non-domicile. This is about the national emergency right now. That's what this conversation is about. Do you guys think that this will bring positive changes to our industry, or will it be negative changes? Now, Amazon is in big trouble. That's one of the comments here. Hey, Ronen, bigger question. How will it affect us from Canada? So, I mean, Canada definitely needs to learn from this. I think that there's a lot to learn from the US. I think that, they're definitely ahead of the game with cracking down on, immigration policies that have not benefited our industry. There's definitely a lot of them out there. There's a lot of people in Canada that are same thing, either asylum seekers or that they are claiming refugee status, or they're claiming, whatever it is that they're claiming. There is a process, the vetting process. But while this process is taking place, they're able to get their commercial driver's license. Now, we have a whole whack of problems here in Canada also. But this is definitely something to learn from our, our friends in the U.S. As an owner-operator, let's hear some of the comments. As an owner-operator with my own authorities, this is amazing. Rates will bloom with these people off the road. So I don't want to read the exact comment, but with these people off the road. So owner-operator here believes that the freight rates are going to go up because of this change. Okay, so let's hear some of the positive effects that might happen. So if there are fewer non-domicile, so basically if you get 60,000 to 200,000 truck drivers, these non-domicile drivers, if you get them off the road, then what can happen is that carriers and drivers who have been battling with rock bottom rates may finally see demand tighten. Now, we are all waiting for demand to tighten. That could mean better freight rates, more miles, and higher pay for drivers who stick it out. For small and mid-sized trucking companies, this may be a push that helps stabilize the market by cutting out some of the oversupply that's been dragging everyone down. So on the flip side, on the negative side of things, can you imagine if you have a trucking company and you have, maybe 30 trucks, and from these 30 trucks, 15 of your drivers, are, foreigners that came into the country and are waiting for their, for some sort of status. Now, all of a sudden, their licenses get revoked. What's going to happen to that trucking company? Well, on the negative side, you better believe that there's thousands of foreign drivers who are legally working, but have non-domicile licenses may suddenly lose their eligibility, leaving trucks parked and freight delayed. So if there are no drivers, if a trucking company has 30 power units, 15 of those drivers can no longer drive anymore, you better believe there's going to be vacancies. You better believe that there's going to be defaults in payments to the banks, defaults in payments to for their financing and their leasing. There's going to be a lot more repossessions, and this might actually take things down. But on the positive side of things, if you get rid of 60,000 trucks off the road, then obviously there's a lot more work to go around for everybody else. So what do you guys think about that? I definitely want to hear some of your opinions. How will this be enforced? The license revoked does not necessarily mean a license revoked does not. Oh, there's too many comments coming in. This is fast. Okay. How will this be enforced? A license revoked does not necessarily mean the unqualified will not step into a truck. You are 100% right. I mean, how are they going to enforce this? From what I heard, something about the scales. I think they want to start off with Florida, but I read some articles. Nothing is official right now, but I definitely would love to see how they're going to enforce this. How do you take away the CDL, and under what grounds are you going to take the license away from a driver? Do the scales start asking, hey, what's your legal status in the US? And then all of a sudden start revoking? I mean, is it all the states? Is it some of the states? Is it a federal law that's going to be coming in? And then, the states have to comply. I don't know. I know that in Canada, it's a huge thing, and they still can't crack down on it. And how are they going to do it in the US? I'd love to hear, and maybe take an example from them. These drivers are being paid crap. They're slipping like something inside the trucks. They're not getting paid well. So there's a comment here that says that these the CDL holders that don't have status in the US, they are getting taken advantage of with lower rates. Is this true? This might very well be true. I don't know and haven't heard of any, but I would only assume that they're getting paid and mistreated. They're getting paid a lot less and getting mistreated because maybe people can get away with it. So this will definitely level off the playing field between trucking companies that hire Americans versus trucking companies that hire, these drivers that don't have status in the US, or they have, asylum status or, work permit status. Will it level off the playing field? I actually think it will level off the playing field because it would stop rewarding, trucking companies that are hiring drivers, with these statuses. Okay. Oklahoma started impounding trucks for drivers who are not in the country legally as well. Okay. So that's definitely news to me. I haven't heard of that yet. But if there's a state that is now cracking down on it, so can you imagine if Florida, Oklahoma, and a few more states, Texas would, as drivers come in, they want to know the driver's legal status. If he doesn't have legal status, meaning that he doesn't have status in the US, they just revoke the license, revoke and impound the truck. It would definitely, once news gets out, I'd say trucking companies would definitely not be sending out drivers, and they would not be sending out drivers that don't have the status. How many drivers are you losing because of this? So I personally, Ronen here at ET Transport, have not lost a single driver because of this. All of our drivers, for us here in Canada, is the first thing that we ask is, what is your legal status in Canada? They have to be here either, proper, with a work permit, with a social security number, and only then we're allowed to hire them. It's a little bit different in the US because we do cross-border. We're very, very strict on the drivers that we hire. When you're staying US to US and nobody's asking for your driver's legal status, it's like a restaurant that has a dishwasher that doesn't have legal status. You can get away with it. For us Canadians that do cross-border trade, we cannot get away with having somebody in the truck that doesn't have a legal status. But in the US, you definitely can, because you're just running US to US. Nobody's checking the driver's passport. Nobody's checking his legal status. DOT inspection, I mean, they're just asking for the logbooks, driver's license. And obviously you can get a driver's license without having status in the US. And that's what this is all about. And this is why they're declaring the national emergency about this. We should do this in Canada too. Absolutely. I mean, I will be the first one. There are definitely Canadian trucking companies that run, especially the Toronto-Montreal lane, and the Canada-only lanes where drivers are on, student visas. So many of them, drivers on student visas, that are getting into trucks because they know it's somehow going to be a pathway to their residency here. So in Inter-Canada, also, there's so many people working locally. I'm sure it's in the US and in Canada. This is where the bulk of the I would say the foreigners that have come to Canada, or I'm sure the same thing is in the US, that have no status, are working locally because nobody checks locally what their status is. All right, Ontario companies need to pay drivers as employees. This Driver Inc. or incorporated drivers running for companies. I mean, there's a battle about Driver Inc. for years already, and nobody's able to solve it. The government is just not on board with this. And it's a never-ending battle. Basically, it rewards those that do not follow the rules, and those that are following the rules, they are getting destroyed in the market right now. Big T, I'm intermodal. Okay, Florida. Okay, hey, Big T, Rucker. Whoa. I work in this industry too. Containers aren't consistent. Okay, guys, anything about this national emergency? I mean, please, if you can keep the comments based on that, I would greatly appreciate it. The skills are fully open. They're open for business. If the FMCSA number one to get these drivers off the road, it should have never had a CDL driver's license if you're here illegally. Okay, so there's definitely something to be said about, hey, if I am the driver and I went through your policies, and your policies used to say that if I am an asylum seeker, I am allowed, if I have a legal status of asylum seeker and my court hearing is in 2 years, and after 2 years I'm going to postpone it for another 2 years. I'm here. I've actually had a few consultations with people who have been in the US for 7 or 8 years under some sort of, either the asylum seeker or the refugee status, and they have been in trucking, and they even have trucking companies. I've seen it for sure. And, if I am that driver, I can say that, hey, this new rule is not fair. I came here legally. I waited, and I waited, and I'm waiting, and these were your rules. And now, this change is just not fair to me or to anybody who went through the process. And I'm sure we're going to hear a lot of that. And I'd definitely love to hear some of, your thoughts, what you guys think about this. Been at this for 30 years. Back then, thought Mexicans will take jobs at rates would change. Basically, supply demand comes into play. It comes down to consumers' demand. So another defense that I have is, the Canadian government, and same thing with the US government, really does as it pleases when it's convenient for them. So, 4 or 5 years ago, when there was, post-COVID, there was everybody was on lockdown. Trucking was through the roof. You could basically get whatever you want for your truck. It was literally like an auction. Doesn't matter where you were in the US, doesn't matter where you were in Canada. People were fighting over your trucks, inbound, outbound, $5 a mile, $6 a mile. Nobody said anything about, about these drivers, whether it's illegal drivers or drivers with some sort of, status. Nobody mentioned anything about them. And now, basically, when the industry went to crap, now everybody's trying to boot these drivers out. Is that fair? Why is it that when it's convenient for us, do we keep these drivers here, and when it's not convenient for us, all of a sudden we're kicking them out, or we're saying, no, you can no longer drive. I know definitely in the US, with the open border policy, it's probably a lot worse over there than it is here in Canada. But I'd love to hear from some of you guys out there in the comments, what you guys think about that. Do companies not care when they hire those non-doms that their English isn't driving? About their English, English is one thing for sure. You can even have a driver with legal status that their English is not, they can be here on a work permit, they can have a green card, and their English is not the greatest. So that's one problem that you're tackling, is English. Whether they have status or not, you need to make sure that all of your drivers have, all of your trucks are filled with English-speaking drivers. So that's one part of it. And then you have the, non-domicile, which is another one. Okay. We need greedy brokers to pay more. Okay. Wyoming make ELP tests as part of their entry. Okay, great. The way I see it is big corporations will still be able to run with a lower rate. There will be dedicated lanes, probably with a mix of automated trucks and short haul. Okay. Bingo. You're going to see a flood of trucks from Mexico now. Okay, containers are dead in North Carolina too. Oklahoma, Senate Bill 20 is the new bill where they are impounding trucks. Wow. Okay. So second comment I hear about Oklahoma. So from what I understand, if a driver has no status or it doesn't have status in the U.S., then they're basically impounding the trucks, which is, I mean, once news gets out, it'll be very quick that people will stop driving to Oklahoma, or drivers without statuses will come off the trucks, or they'll just stay local where they feel like it's safe. In Illinois, lots of illegals in the end dump industry. So I've been hearing a lot about Illinois, so much about Illinois, and about people working without statuses. We're not getting into that right now. Can you repeat what is the deal with this new thing? I'm late to the stream. So for those that just arrived, basically Sean Duffy declared a state of emergency because basically revolving around non-domicile CDL holders. So what is a non-domicile CDL holder? It is basically a driver who doesn't have the permanent resident status in the U.S. Okay, so they're either a foreign national or an immigration status or a temporary visa. So an example of this is somebody who is from Mexico or from Canada with a temporary work visa that's in the U.S. They're able to haul freight from the U.S. to U.S. That is considered a non-domicile CDL holder. An asylum seeker who crossed the border and is waiting for their case to be processed, okay, could also apply and get one. So basically, if I'm an asylum seeker, I came across the border into the U.S. I am an asylum seeker. I'm waiting 5, 7, 10 years. I don't know, until they decide if I am or if I'm not. While I am waiting for my trial or my court appearance or however the process is, I can apply for a CDL and be hired in the U.S. So that's really what you guys missed. So I just heard the FMCS say they were not following federal policy. These Canadian towel heads are taking over. Sure, I sabotage highway basic. Anybody have normal comments about the breaking news about the state of emergency? It's all about skin and color. Okay, departments deport all immigrant trucks drivers. They come to America and take our jobs. But when we go to their countries, we can't get jobs, and they act racist towards us. Yeah, I mean, there is some truth to that. But again, it was our policies, whether in Canada or in the US, that let these people in, right? So, I mean, can we just say, hey, as of tomorrow, we could definitely change our policies and say, moving forward, we can't accept anybody. But is it right to say that people that are already here that came in based on our previous policies, is it right to tell them, hey, get out? You can no longer work, not as a truck driver or anything else, get out of our country. That is the big question. Okay, so is it fair? Well, that's pretty simple. They came when rates were high, and now rates are back in the median. They bought equipment at all-time high. Bad business decisions. Spot rates will go up short to medium term. So, I mean, definitely once they start, if 60,000 to if the average, they're saying that there's about 60,000 to 200,000 non-domicile CDL holders. If you even just get rid of 25% of them or 50% of them, that's going to be a huge shift in the US and change. And definitely you will see the rates, going right back up. There's going to be a lot of vacancies. But also there's a lot of drivers out there that can't find jobs right now. So maybe they're going to, the American drivers are going to fill in the seats the way it's supposed to be. Let's see what else. Revoke non-domicile is a good thing. Foreign drivers don't have experience for North American traffic laws and the road. So I definitely agree with the fact that there is a training program that's supposed to be upheld in the U.S. You definitely need to, there's got to be a process of how you bring a truck driver into the U.S. Even if he is under whatever status. I mean, you got to work in a team first, then you have to work, there's got to be a training that kind of gradually gets them there into being a solo driver. There's a lot of companies out there that are just taking drivers. They get their CDL here, drive the truck. That is wrong, and that's when the deaths happen, and that's where people get killed. I'm an American citizen born here, and I just had an English proficiency test done on me going through Wyoming. Okay, so I guess you have drivers saying that, these proficiency tests, they are coming, and it's happening all over the U.S. I have a non-domicile CDL for 8 years, 0 accidents. That's crazy. Correct. Okay, so Richard Figuera, so non-domicile CDL for the last 8 years, 0 accidents. Honestly, Richard, I mean, what would you do, or how would you go about if somebody just said, hey, you know what, your CDL is no longer valid and we're taking it away? That's just I don't even know how you have somebody that's been driving for the last 8 years in the U.S. with a non-domicile CDL. Anybody have any comments to that? I'd love to hear it. I think it's fair because we are finding out they are dangerous drivers and cause fatal accidents. To tell you the truth, there is no stats out there on the difference between a non-CDL, non-domicile CDL holder versus a American citizen, somebody with a green card that just gets their Class 1 license. I haven't seen any comparisons. What I do see is that they're definitely trying to highlight the non-domicile, definitely because, freight rates are very low. They have these 3 deaths. The Sean Duffy definitely, he brought up 3 different accidents that happened. You can bring up hundreds of accidents that happened with, with drivers with legal status in the U.S. I haven't seen a comparison, but they're definitely trying to highlight, that it's the non-domicile CDL holders that are causing the problem. I haven't seen a comparison yet. Are you guys hiring out of Buffalo, New York? Calvin, if you would like, you're more than welcome to reach out to us or me directly. You can send me an email at sponsorship@ettransport.ca. But yes, we are looking for drivers out of Buffalo, New York, and also out of Detroit, Michigan. Okay. Will this be enforced by the states? Even though it's federal, many states that hate Trump won't enforce it. Yeah, but you have to understand that if Florida enforces it, and then if you have Ohio that's going to enforce it, let's say Illinois does not enforce it, and then Wisconsin does and Minnesota does, then really, what are you going to do? You're just going to drive locally? Because the second you come out of that state that is not enforcing it, then then it's going to be a problem for you. So you can only work locally. But I really think that the federal government is going to pressure even those states that don't want to follow. Okay, not all non-domicile CDL holders lack of English proficiency, and I agree with that. Jimmy 333001, I agree with that 100%. And they paid the price for those who lack. So I agree with that statement that not all non-domicile holders, have a problem with English. There's, fluent people that speak fluent English that are non-domicile. So there's a trucking company, LLC. Honestly, in my opinion, all the shippers need to be turned the truck away if the driver can't speak English. So the problem with the shippers these days is they could care less if the driver speaks English or not. They basically want to transport their goods the cheapest way possible, whether he speaks English or doesn't speak English. If that means that they're going to get $200 discount, and that's exactly what they're going to do. Revoke of 25%. Don't think that will help. Last four year, many bankruptcies have happened. Drivers pit jobs and left the industry. Still didn't help with these rates. So, yes, there has been, definitely our, freight rates have tumbled and have, are definitely at the lowest place they've been. I would say the last 6 months have been brutal. But if you take 25% of these drivers off the road, and if fleets kind of shrink, so, any trucking company that has, can you imagine if a fleet shrinks by 10% or 12% across the board? I mean, yeah, that's definitely going to help. And that will increase freight rates. Foreigners get in the way of colorism, so I'm okay with this. Okay. One who doesn't know anything about the rules should never be on the road unless he becomes aware. Yeah, but the problem is with that statement is he got his CDL, which means obviously he passed some sort of test. He got his learner's permit, he passed that test, and then he passed his road test, and that's how he got his license. There is something to say about, the system that is wrong, and it's too easy. I've been saying this for years. It's too easy to get a Class 1 license in Canada. I'm sure it's the same thing in the US. I mean, they have what? these melt programs are 8 weeks, 11 weeks. I mean, within 8 weeks or 11 weeks, you can get a CDL license. Why does it, to get to become an electrician, it takes 4,000 hours. To become a plumber, it takes 5,000 hours. Why is it to become a class 1 CDL driver? Why is it that it's so fast to get? Why is the value of a truck driver diminished over the years more and more and more? That is my problem with it. Why isn't it harder and harder to get a class 1 license? Why are they making this is the only industry that it's easier and easier and easier to get a class 1 license? People are pumping out class 1 drivers because they know that the new drivers, cheaper rates, and it's like a whole it's a conveyor belt that basically they take out these class 1 drivers. They work in the industry for 2, 3, 4 years, and then again, a new cycle of truck drivers are coming into the industry. We have a retention problem. We have a rate problem. If we were to make it harder to get class 1 licenses, if it would be 6 months to get a class 1 license, you will see how fast those rates will go up. You will see how fast, not only the rates for shipping, but the truck drivers themselves, the value of a truck driver is going to go up. Okay, what is your opinion, Ronen, when the rates in the U.S. will go up? As a freight broker, we have problem with rates. Carriers are asking more than usual. Customers are not paying more because of competition. What do you think about 2026 trucking? So let's say, when freight rates go up, I want you to know that freight brokers actually make more money in this economy, okay, when the freight rates are low versus when freight rates are high. What do I mean by that? When freight rates, when my customer pays me from Illinois to California, when they pay me $4,000 in the downfall economy like right now, I can always find 1 or 2 guys that are willing to do it for $3,000. They're just desperate to get home. The driver is, has a doctor's appointment, whatever it is that he has. They want the load going to California, and they're willing to do it just at cost, just for fuel money, just to get home. You bet always you can find somebody to do that. So from $4,000, somebody will do it for $2,800. Freight broker just kept $1,200 in their pocket. When the freight rates are high, and you can find hundreds of loads from Illinois to California, the profit margins are much slimmer because you can't find these one-off drivers that are willing to do the loads at cost. 2026, I have a strong feeling about 2026 and the end of 2025. We're already starting to see on cross-border trade that things are starting to wake up a little bit. Maybe I'm just, maybe I'm overexcited. It's month end and things look a little bit better right now. But I can honestly say that it does look, the end of September has closed off much better. First week of September and second week were brutal. And hopefully October will be just as good. So October and November are usually really good months for trucking. They're the strong months. So I really, really hope that things will go in the right direction. And I think that things are going to improve real quick, meaning that it's going to go from $1.80, $1.90, $2 per mile as a national average. And it's just going to shoot up to $2.25, $2.30, $2.60, $2.90, $3.10, $3.20. It's not going to be a slow, gradual increase. It's going to be just like a switch that goes from off to on, and we are going to all benefit from great rates. Now, if for those of you that are trying to get into the industry, you're more than welcome to. I do think that there's going to be a great, 2026 ahead of us. Wasn't this the case in the previous years with illegal and illegal immigrants? Okay. I have close friends, drivers telling me that they got the English proficiency test done and they can hardly speak English. They told me they can't pass the test. They shouldn't be driving in commercial drivers or hold a CDL. It was very simple test. If you cannot follow orders like open your door, close your door, get out, get down, officer, what is a U-turn? Turnaround or a U-turn signal, then you shouldn't be driving a commercial truck. I agree with that 1000%. I truly believe that if a driver cannot communicate with an officer or cannot read cannot score five out of 6 signs if he doesn't know it, I don't think he should be driving a truck. And that goes for anybody. It doesn't have to be just somebody that does the proficiency test. I think that, if a truck driver any truck driver cannot, score at least, an 80% or 70% when it comes to signs, they shouldn't be behind the wheel. It should definitely get revoked for a week or two. Let them go learn the signs and redo the test. Look at how Highway 11 and 17. Those are brutal highways, I know. Will you hire on percent? No, I won't. It's not fair, but we must make difficult decisions to fix our industry. I agree with that. I truly believe with America first, Canada first. I hate the fact that we're constantly bending over backwards for non-citizens. I am appalled by, I hate the fact that my father has been working in Canada for, I don't know, 35 years and gets less than what, somebody that's here as a asylum seeker or is here as a, what's the other one? There's asylum seekers and there's, but anyways, there's one more status that you can just come and claim, and they get monthly more than my father gets monthly, who's 72 years old right now, or 73, that these people get monthly more help from the government than my father, who's been here for 35 years working in Canada. So that just drives me fucking crazy. I think it's a stupid system. And I think that, definitely changes need to be made. This should never be allowed in the first place. All it does is reduce the rates for hardworking U.S. citizens that are owner operators. So again, to tell you the truth, I mean, holy, there's a lot of comments. Okay. Let's go into a few more comments, guys. I know that this is a huge topic and there's a lot of people here. Is the drivers who pass the ELP on a lazy officer, and next will hopefully catch them. Okay, refugee. Yes, refugee status. That's the one that I was talking about. So anybody that's an asylum or refugee status comes into Canada, they get paid more than my father, who is on what's it, after 65, they get paid something. I don't remember what the term is called, but basically they get more for a refugee status than my father does after working in Canada for 35 years. And I think it's fucking retarded, to tell you the truth. I can't believe that Canada would come up with these rules, and who the hell makes these rules. What school is a good school to start with? There are a few truck driving schools, but honestly, I don't get into that. I really don't want people to, hey, this school is great, and then, oh, Ronen says this because of ABC. So I'd rather you should do your own research on which school. I've been told a couple of times to get into opening up a truck driving school, but it's just not for me right now. Weed out the illegals who aren't given a CDL. Go to Swift. Yeah, but the problem on our end is, as a freight broker, is always ABC brokerage is ready to make just $50 profit in 4K lane and making harder to get more money for customers. Get profit and book a carrier with a good rate. You are right. I mean, definitely, business on its own, it doesn't matter what industry it is, it's becoming harder and harder to make profits. Whether you're in construction, whether you're in renovations, whether you're in trucking, whether you're in building, development, if you take the last 20, 30 years, all the industries have become harder and harder to work in, and it's becoming less and less profitable. More companies out there. You got to go above and beyond for your customers. So yeah, that's just the way it is. I'm currently sitting in Southern California, and it seems like it's always a 2 to 4 day wait, waiting for a company to find a load and bring me back to Ontario. Yes, you are 100%, Ross, you're 100% right. California is right now, there's not much going into Canada from California. So you're waiting and waiting. And when you do get a load, literally, it's, $3,500, $4,000 barely covers the fuel, but you should be billing at least 1.5 times on the outbound. So if before the rates for, Ontario to California used to be $4,000 or $5,000, today you should be billing at least $6,500 when you're going to California, or else that lane is just not worth it anymore. Look for companies that offer schooling while being able to offer a career path. Your mile may vary. So would you be my mentor and become an owner operator? So yes, I mean, for Harry, if you would like, you're more than welcome to. If anybody wants to book me in for a 15-minute session, 30-minute session, you're more than welcome to book me in at truckingacademy.us. I will put the link below. Resources, mentorship. I will put the resources down below. Okay, so you're more than welcome. I just put the links down. You're more than welcome to book me there, and I will be more than happy to whatever questions you guys have one-on-one. If there are people here that are thinking of opening up your own trucking company, or whether you want, trucking, dispatching, we do have a lot of courses on truckingacademy.us. I'm just going to go over them quickly. Let me just see how I share my screen. Share screen. Courses, share. Okay, great. So we have our most popular one, I would say, is a dispatch course. We have the freight broker course. We have a course on the cost of running a truck. We have our accounts receivable course, and we have our opening a trucking company course. Okay, these are 5 different courses that are all out right now. If you are thinking of getting into the industry, if you're a truck driver and you are saying, okay, enough is enough, I don't want to, I don't want to drive anymore. I really want to start something new. Whether you want to be a dispatcher or a freight broker, we will train you literally ground up, on how it is on our truck dispatcher course is very, very popular. I highly recommend that you start reading some of the comments. Plus, there's a lot of bonus added features value to these courses. Okay, so definitely you get a certificate. It's 10 modules. It's about 10, 11 hours long. And I would highly recommend that you read some of the reviews just to see, what our courses are like. So if anybody is thinking to upgrade or is thinking to, come out of that driver's seat and thinking to become either either a dispatcher or a freight broker, or thinking maybe working in accounts receivable, accounts payable, you're more than welcome to take those courses. Let's get more into the comments. How is the insurance company treating you guys? Insurance companies are just fine for now. We are in a captive of private insurance. Ronen, out of context question. Not sure if you will consider answering. The trucks you have used and sold, if you were buying a used vehicle, which year is generally the best for owner operators? Honestly, if you book a 15-minute consultation with me, it'd be more than enough for me to answer that question in detail, giving you examples, giving you, I did put the link already in the comments for you to be able to book 15 minutes. I'd be more than happy to answer that question. For the freight broker training, after completion of the course, can I work as an agent? Yes, you're more than welcome to work as an agent. Our freight broker course does have options at the end. It goes into detail about companies that are currently hiring and what freight broker, the freight agent program that we have here at ET Transport. Also, our dispatch course has something that is new that we've introduced. Basically, when you finish that dispatch course, if you would like to purchase a couple of trucks, we are right now, for limited people, are doing teaching them, bringing them under our wing for the first 4 months while they're getting their authorities, while they're getting their permits. We are training them in our office, okay, for them to be ready to move on their own. So the first 4 months, you're going to buy 2 trucks with my help. You'll put them under ET Transport. We're going to teach you how to dispatch. We're going to teach you how to find loads. Basically, we're going to teach you how to hire drivers. The cash flow will basically teach you everything from start to finish. It'll take 4 months. After 4 months, you take your 2 trucks or 3 trucks or 4, as many as you bought and put in here, and you will go and do your own thing. If you do want more information about that, please, guys, just schedule a 15-minute call with me. I'll give you all the information about buying trucks and, buying multiple trucks and putting them here. And basically for us to teach you, for me to teach you how to run your own trucking company. What's my opinion about Kenworth Peterbilt's? I noticed your fleet's heavy Freightliner focus. So I'm not going to answer that question here, guys. My go-to truck is the Freightliner Cascadias. I've kind of stopped even with the Volvos. I've stopped. I feel like the Freightliner is probably the best product for us. But yeah, I can go more in detail on that. If you are, if you'd like to book a session with me, I would be more than happy to go more in detail on that. What else? Anybody else? Any other questions? Any other comments, concerns? Let's see what we got here. Any other comments? What do we got? Followed live creator. All right, lots of people still joining here. There's a lot of platforms going on at the same time. Hey, Andrew, there's a video where he examined the cost to run a different makes. Yes, there is a video where I talked about the Freightliners versus the Volvos. And again, Fred just put up a comment. I really don't want to read it out loud, but you guys should definitely read that comment about Volvos. Any other comments that you guys have about our industry, about this national emergency, about how this is going to affect us, how it's going to affect trucking? I'd definitely like to hear, some of your concerns. Would you hire an owner-operator, brother-in-law, non-domicile CDL holder, English proficiency, clean for 6 years, came with a B1, B2 visa, tourist legally, brother-in-law, non-domicile CDL proficiency for 6 years, came with a B1 legally, did immigration through airport legally, sought asylum, will lose it all house. Okay, so brother-in-law. Okay, so this is a really cool comment. So here's what I'm talking about. So non-domicile CDL holder, English proficient, so meaning his English is good, clean for the last 6 years, came with a B1, B2 visa, which is tourist visa to the US legally, did immigration through the airport legally, sought asylum legally, and then it says we'll lose it all house. So this is what I'm talking about. People doing it the right way. That was the legal way to do things. People followed those rules. And now these people that followed the rules are getting put in the same bucket as people that did it in the, people that did it the wrong way. And now they're basically taking everybody and pooling them together. And I do not agree with that. So there's people that did it the right way, just like Jimmy 3001. Which I think that should be looked at differently, and then there's people that did it the wrong way, which I think is just come to the US and then you start doing everything from there. This is what I have a problem with, and Jimmy, I really feel for you, and I'm sorry that you're going through this. Okay, next comment. I run half my fleet Volvos and Freightliners, thinking about expanding into different makes such as Mack or Peterbilt with Cummins engine. Andrew, take it one step at a time, buy one at a time, compare, and see where you go from there. Any other comments, guys? Let's see. Is Dan back? Truck is good business. Okay. Lots of people here on the platforms. Any other comments that we have here, guys? How can I join the freight broker course, and how long does it take to complete it? So it's about 10 hours. Let me just give you the link over here. Freight broker course. It's about 10 hours long. Here is the link to it. Again, after you finish the freight broker course, you do have options there. You have the list of companies that hire freight agents. You're more than welcome to open up your own brokerage company, or you're more than welcome to work for us, ET Transport, as a freight agent, as long as you qualify. There's a full video there on how to qualify, and if you do qualify. But again, the course is 10 hours long, whether you work as a freight agent or don't. It does have options there on what you can do to open up your own brokerage company. Can read and write is a problem. Okay, can't read and write is a problem because all signs are in English. I don't know what that means. But okay, how can I join the freight broker course? Okay, next comment. How do I book a consultation with you, Ronen? Okay, guys, one more time, consultations. I'm going to put the... So if you go to trucking company, truckingacademy.us, and go under mentorship, okay? So there are options to book me for 15 minutes. If you just have a quick question, there's consultations for half an hour, and there's a consultation for 15 minutes, 30 minutes, and 45 minutes. So those are the options that I do have. And you're more than welcome to book me, and I will put the links in. Final regulations will be announced on Monday. There could be a lot of changes regarding visas. Yes. So if there's any, guys, one of the things that you should do, make sure you're a subscriber to one of my channels, whether it's the any platform out there that you see my content on. Make sure that you're a subscriber, because there's going to be a lot of changes and a lot of updates on this breaking news about the national emergency and about these CDL holders. It's going to affect all of us in some sort of way. Some will be positive, some will be negative, but the one thing that you should do is make sure you have access to the information, because the last thing you wanted, position that you want to be in is not knowing the information that's out there. So make sure you're a subscriber to our channel. Sorry, man, if drivers can't understand the signs, it's a safety issue. Absolutely. Did you ever meet international shipments? You can bring freight from Europe to US and Canada. I don't understand what that has to do with this right now. But guys, it's been about close to 50 minutes, almost an hour. We've been at this. Let's see. If you have South Africa, you are chances of getting. Okay, how many miles do you recommend? What procedures do I follow? Okay, guys, lots of comments coming in. If anybody has any questions, okay, if anybody has any questions, this is the time to do it. We're about to wrap this up. An off the cuff thought, because of the amount of accidents and rollovers these days, I think team driving should be abolished. It's proven the human body should sleep at night. Ooh, this is a good angle. It's proven that the human body should sleep at night and not be crashing and bashing in a bunk. What do you think? I actually think, Ross, it's a very big, it's a very good and valid point that you have. My problem is that is there any stats to back it up? Meaning that, yes, of course, I feel like there's merit to your comment for sure. Is there any stats to back it up? And who are we to make these kind of rules about if two people agree, like a husband and wife, or best friends, or just co-workers, that they agree to work in a truck? Who are we to tell them not to? That's really the thing. But I do believe that you're right about the lack of sleep and the quality of sleep. Thank you for this info today, Fred. Not a problem. If I bring a flatbed customer paying very well, you open to taking me on with 20 loads a week, 4 plants? Absolutely. Yeah. Who wrote that? Ketan Patel. If I bring a flatbed customer, yes, you're more than welcome to send me a private message on sponsorship@ettransport.ca. I'd be more than happy to talk to you in detail about it. I've been trying to join your team. Samuel, please send me an email, sponsorship@ettransport.ca. Okay, sometimes it gets in the cracks. There's hundreds and hundreds of drivers that are trying to get through to our lines and are trying to be a part of this team. So send me an email. I'm pretty responsive, and I'll check out your file as long as you qualify. I wish they said all Canadian drivers can apply for USA visa without any offer employment. Yes, I wish so too. Hello, what is the rules with abroad dispatching rules? Mikhail, there aren't any rules. You can do as you wish. And if you want to open a dispatch service from abroad, you won't be the first one, as there are lots of them out there. So in a team, there's no proper sleep. I agree with that. All right, I think we are done with the comments. No more questions coming in. So thank you all for joining the session, and I appreciate it. Keep subscribing to the channel, and I'll catch you in my next video. Thank you.